Hello Scorpio, great to have you here. My name is Shauna. Today's reading is a general love forecast for November 2025. As always, take the messages that resonate and release anything that doesn't. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay connected with upcoming readings. Let's see what's headed your way, Scorpio. Late for you. I had a very serious family emergency this past weekend, and the weekends is when I usually do these monthly readings. So I apologize. My weekend was just inundated with, trying to sort things out, and I couldn't. There was no way I could get it out, mainly because of the emotional nature of this family situation. Okay, so I apologize. So it is a few days late, so I apologize. Let's just go into your reading. I'm using the same spread, and this is pretty much, reflective of the 12 houses of the natal astrological wheel. And so each card that I pulled out stands for one house, and each house represents a different aspect of your life. So let me just say that, I do read reversals with these cards, by the way. And all of your cards, you're the first sign with all of your cards, all in the upright position except the ninth house, okay? So this indicates to me a lot of challenges that have been overcome, things that are might have been blocking you or hindering your progress. You've basically sailed on ahead and you are overcoming them. So you're coming into this month with a lot of like new energy, new goals, new ambitions that you want to implement into the world, new projects that you are collaborating with people to build. So this is a very, very pivotal turning point. Whatever has been problematic, you are unblocking yourself. So this is a very, very good, powerful month for you guys. So let me just start off with the first house. We have the world. I feel like, so the first house is basically the rising sign. It's the face that you show to the world, the energy that you're coming into the month of February with. The world is basically a major, major cycle that has ended and a new cycle is beginning. So it's kind of like that growth spurt where you feel almost as if you have matured 5 years, 10 years, spiritually, emotionally. I feel like there was something that was a big, heavy experience that you overcome, and now it's no longer blocking your progress. Going back to the mid-month reading that I did for you guys, there were a lot of blockages, and I feel like some of you have overcome them, stepped out of them, and you're no longer afraid of what the future has to hold. So you're a lot more open-minded coming into this month. There's a lot of travel, publication, publishing for many of you, writing assignments. I feel a lot of you are either retiring or graduating from school, like from universities, from high school, and things like that. And I also feel like a major phase of cycle of your life has ended and something now new is beginning. And this card literally is just based for second house. This deals with finances as well as your values. In terms of your financial opportunities, there will be a lot of clients for those of you who are working on a client basis, portfolio basis, or even doing sales or doing self-employment gigs. There will be a lot of clients. There will be a few competitors, but I feel that you are in high demand, okay? It's almost as if you might have to turn down some people so that you can make the time for yourself to take care of things that are already on your plate, okay? So I feel a lot of opportunities for financial windfall to come through and a lot of payments. If in the past they might have been like delinquent payments coming to you, I feel like this is the month in which you are rectifying them. So work seems to me to be very busy for many of you, okay? In terms of your value system, I feel almost as if you're going to be put in a position where you really need to stand for what you believe in. You need to stand in your own truth. You need to own up to the things that you've been doing. You need to hold people accountable for the things that they've been doing as well. So I feel it's not a conflict card so much, but I feel like the conflict might be a little bit more it's almost like your environment is creating, opportunities for a lot of things to happen at the same time. So I feel like a little bit of a time crunch as well coming through for many of you. But I feel that either way, when it comes to your debt values, you are going to be in a position where you need to defend your values. You need to defend what you believe, and you need to soldier on and not back away from conflict, okay? Now, Scorpio, you are a very, very fierce sign. You're very, very fierce. And I feel like as an opponent, like people would love to have you on their side, but you're almost like an indomitable opponent. So I feel that while some of you might feel inclined to fight, it just depends on the situation. But I feel like if you are just in defending your internal values, your value system, the things that you truly believe in, then I feel like you're not going to back down. Okay, so it's a very fierce, strong card for your money and value sector. In terms of your third house, we have here an air sign. So let me talk about this. The third house stands for communication. It also stands for siblings. So let me just talk about this in terms of a person. I feel like you might have a sibling, for those of you who have siblings, and for those of you who do not, who are like only child and you don't have a sibling, you can just gloss over this part. There is a person that's in your life. This is an Aquarius, a Gemini, or a Libra. This is somebody that has gone through a major cathartic, I feel like, experience where they have also grown and aged, okay? So they're getting wiser and they're getting smarter. And I feel like they have also had a very, very rough life where they are a little bit jaded and I feel a little bit bitter. And they're at a point where I feel like they might be making an emotional decision with their mind. So that means they're applying logic and reason and rationality into an emotionally charged situation. So in a way, it could be good or bad. They can help people cut through the fog. However, they seem to be almost like cold and calculating to the point where you just want to, tell them to soften up. So I feel like if this is a sibling of yours, you're going to be dealing with this person and you're going to need to, tell them to soften up a little bit. On the other hand, if you're the one coming to them for advice, they're going to give you a dose of the truth. It might feel a little bit painful, but it's done in the spirit of objectivity, in the spirit of, growth, in the spirit of truth. So take it with a grain of salt. On top of that, when it comes to your communication, I feel like many of you are coming into the, this energy. This is the apex of that, the suit of communication, of mental processes. Your mind is going to be hyper vigilant, is going to be very alert. You are absorbing information really well. I believe Virgo also got this card. And basically what it means is that no one is going to be able to one-up you. So whatever is happening behind the radar, I feel like you're getting information. Whatever you suspected, I feel like you're going to get proof. So there's an element here about having a very keen sense of awareness, okay? Being aware of like people's motives, intentions, being able to thoroughly glance at a situation and be able to assess or, summarize that whole situation. So I feel like your mind is on hyperactive, like overdrive. You're going to be really well received when it comes to communication, okay? Just make sure to temper this rationality, objectivity with a little bit of, make allowances for people, soften it up just a little bit. I feel like it's going to serve you well. In terms of your fourth house, and the fourth house deals with family, it deals with the mother. So I feel like for some of you, they're mentioning like anniversaries. So if your mother, if your parents are still together or if your mother remarried, they're saying something about happy events related to the mother, anniversaries, even birthdays for some of you, if you have, mothers. I'm seeing some type of like a successful change or, getting proper accolades, getting success with the mother. So she might have, like a achievement ceremony, and then you might be there for that. So I feel like there's a lot of professional achievements like related to the mother figure, okay? She is also somebody that seems to me to be very business oriented, very professional, and very accomplished in her field. And so they're telling you, if there are certain things that you can if there is something that you feel, that you need some help on when it comes to work, when it comes to career, I feel that approaching your mother, she can give you some very strong guidance, okay? And gloss over that part as well. For those of you who might not know your mother, or who, this does not apply to. So in terms of your family life, this is a card about abundance, prosperity, and joy and contentment, okay? So I feel almost as if there's an energy of a new person coming into your environment, your home environment. So you might be sharing space with them, you might be living with them, but there's something new bubbling, brewing in your home environment. So I usually think of this card as like celebrating a birthday at home, somebody's birthday, or even your birthday. If you're not a Scorpio and you're a Scorpio moon or a Scorpio rising and you're watching this, so they're saying Aries and Leo, sun, moon, or rising, permeating in your house environment, and it's bringing a much needed change of scenery. It's like melting the frost. So if there has been some type of, conflict in the home environment, I feel like the frost is being melted. There's going to be a peace offering. There's going to be a lot of generosity and giving. Even peace treaties is what I'm sensing coming into your home environment. The fifth house deals with recreation, fun, creativity, and it also deals with children. I believe I mentioned children. So creativity, fun, and also the people that you are entertaining with, okay, and like you're going out with. So with the Fool, this is basically indicative of some of you putting yourself out there, meeting new people, chit-chatting with new people. And you might also try to do a lot of outdoor activities that in the past you might not have done. I'm seeing a lot of people cycling, swimming, even camping for, extended periods of time. Moving, like traveling. Traveling is highly indicated in this spread. Traveling to a new environment that you haven't been to, or even returning to an environment that you were in before. And I feel for some of you, traveling might indicate, going to an island type of environment, or going to a coastal area, so like along the either East Coast, West Coast, or even the Gulf Coast. So I feel like or if you're not in the States too, I feel like going to a place with a beach, a coastal area. So I feel like you're really packing your schedule, doing new activities, finding new ways to entertain yourself, and finding new things to do to stimulate your creativity and your passion. I keep seeing like some of you might have a new addition to the family, like a child or a pet, a dog, a cat, goldfish even. Like I keep seeing like they're saying like a new bundle of joy coming through, but the bundle looks very small. It doesn't look like it's a kid size. So I feel like a pet, an animal, a hamster, something like that coming into your home environment. I feel like some of you are meeting new people, like online dating even, or dating, like speed dating, dating in the real world. But either way, I feel that you're meeting new people, okay? And I feel like you're heading into it very enthusiastically. And it looks good because the direction that it's headed here is the sun, which indicates a lot of generosity, and a lot of good vibration, like good energies. So in terms of your sixth house, the sixth house rules the daily routine, the work environment, as well as the health sector. So let me talk about your daily routine. I feel like you have a very, very routinized type of a routine, okay? So I feel like it's all in order. Everything's going according to plan, so that's great. When it comes to your health, the Justice card is indicative of balance. So it's basically telling you whatever you put in is what you're going to get. So this might serve as a warning for some. There might be a little bit of weight gain. I'm seeing more weight gain rather than weight loss with this spread. So I feel like you're doing more physical activities overall. So I feel like few of you might be a little bit self-conscious about the weight gain, but I feel like, they're pretty much telling you try to balance it out. Whatever you put in is what you're going to get out. So I do see like, you want to be conscientious about what you're putting in your body. And then in terms of the balance, the Justice card, For some of you, that might be that might have been worried about some tests, like lab tests, diagnostic tests, health exams, and things like that. I feel like you're in good health. Okay, you're getting some type of a clean bill of health. If you're going to the dentist, no cavities. So I feel like this is a very positive card as it relates to your health sector. Work as well. Whatever you put in is what you're going to get out. And I feel like you're in a very good space right now. A lot of you might actually be in the legal profession, and I feel like you're doing a lot of consultations. You're also like going to trial as well for some of you that are in the legal profession, and even people, students that are in law school as well. I'm seeing a lot of that in this spread. And what I'm also feeling as well is it feels to me as if you're in high demand. So whatever you put in is what you're going to get out. So I feel like you're in high demand. A lot of people are asking for your services. They're looking for you to have consultations with them. So overall, it looks very good with this here in your sixth house. Now, the seventh house deals with relationships in love and also in partnerships. So this is a splendid card. It basically means, all systems go, green light, seeing eye to eye, you and a partner working together despite your differences. And I feel like some of you, I keep seeing some of you are dating foreigners, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just trying to emphasize that. I feel like some of you are dating somebody who is either culturally, linguistically, or just physically just very different from you. So I feel like, it brings a lot of new energy. It brings a lot of excitement. It brings a lot of chemistry, passion. It brings a lot of like curiosity. I feel like it's a very inquisitive energy. And I feel like in the past, you might have, if it's a relationship partner in love, you might have had your differences. But this is a card that indicates you're working together, you're compromising, you're trying to see eye to eye so that you can move forward together as a unit. Okay, so it's like the two horses pulling the chariot in one direction, and they're cooperating rather than working at cross purposes with one another. And then on top of that, in terms of business partnerships as well, I feel like, whatever has been stalled, it's ending. So you're getting a new cycle where things are going to move forward in the manner that you'd hope. So it's a very good energy. Eighth house deals with joint finances. Joint finances. I feel like some of you needed to fix some type of a joint financial arrangement with another person. Okay, so that's just the bottom line. You realize it might not have been working, and you also might realize that the other person did not want to cooperate. So I do feel there is conflict coming through. It might show agreement when it comes to like joint finances, even joint custody. That's also another thing that I'm seeing. Joint custody with children, joint finances in terms of like custody issues, or even, like they're saying settlements as well. I feel like it's being deals with travel. And going back to this card, I feel like you and another person, like a partner, might be traveling together. Okay, so you literally could just be traveling by land, in a car, traveling by bus, something like that. Taking a trip with a partner, like that retreat with a partner, and it's going to be very good for the two of you to really strengthen the relationship. So going back to the ninth house, the ninth house deals with higher education. It also deals with long distance travel. I feel like, with this card in the reverse position, some of you might be at a distance from a significant other as well. This is considered the long distance card. You're coming together, and then you might, go your separate ways again. So I feel like your work situation might be hindering your ability to take days off in order to do some long-term travel. And then others of you, I feel like you're thinking about school. You're thinking about returning back to school for many of you. You're thinking about like going back and finishing up that one course that I didn't finish in order to get my degree. So I feel like there's heavy energy here about longing, about wanting that opportunity, about wanting to create that opportunity so that you can return to school and that you can even implement some type of a long-term travel. So good card overall, and it's the only reverse card, which is really interesting. 10th house deals with let me see, the career sector, okay, long-term career. A lot of you are in the consultation business. You're doing consultation or you're doing sales. And I feel like you are in a very, very public environment. You're showing people how to do something. So I feel like you have some mastery over your skills and you're sharing your knowledge. And you're kind of like the expert in your field. Some of you might be working together with other people to build something of value. So I'm seeing a lot of like public servants, like civil servants, public servants, people in the government industry, also people in the teaching profession. And I feel like these are really, really good professions for you to be in, because I feel that you want work that is very dynamic. You want work that is not stagnant. And so any type of a learning environment is going to be very, very good for you. Any type of political work as well, activism, working in pro bono cases, and even like advocacy work, I feel would be really appropriate for you because it's dynamic. It gives you a sense of purpose. And it's also something that you love because you want to learn and you want to help people. And so I feel that for those of you who are in academia, it's a really good profession. And you're meant to take the spotlight so that you can teach people the correct way. So I feel like most of you might be, so for example, let me just say at like institution of higher learning, for example, I feel that people can take two routes. One, some people choose to teach, other people choose to research and publish, and I feel like some of you are doing both, which is great. But I feel like you're meant for the classroom. You're meant to teach. You're meant to show people how to do things in a very systematic, organized manner. And I feel like you would make a really, really good teacher. I also do see some public, people in the public sector, politicians as well, and I do feel like advocacy work. So you are very involved in your community. You are very involved with other people, group organizations as well. And I feel like you're going to be rubbing elbows with people who are in positions of authority. In your 11th house, we have here friends and group associations. And we have the Emperor. And the Emperor is, usually shows up to point us to the way that we're supposed to go. And with this card falling in your 11th house, it basically means, ask your friends for help, ask your group associations for help, ask your professional contacts for help, because they're coming through here as a card that indicates karma. And this is where you have accumulated a lot of good karmic points. So you're going to be able to draw from this sector of your life in order to move projects along, in order to, find clients, in order to leave behind, break away from contracts that are no longer working for you, so that you can move on ahead with new business partnerships, even with new collaborators, and even with new success opportunities. So I feel like they're telling you, cultivate your friendships, cultivate your professional networks, because they're going to help you in a multitude of ways, okay? Now, the 12th house deals with secrets. It's a house of institutions, but for the sake of this reading, I'm just going to keep things simple by talking about secrets. So we have the High Priestess here, and I feel almost as if Scorpios, it feels to me as if you have some inside knowledge of some information and you're not divulging. That's what it feels like to me. And what I'm also sensing is like you have some very, very big, important piece of information, and I feel like it might relate to an authority figure. Like you might know something about an authority figure, and you're keeping your mouth shut about it. You're not divulging the secrets. You're not telling other people. So if that sounds like it's you, I just want you to think about this, okay? I feel like you have such a poker face. And I feel like that person, they're just like, does he know or does he not know? Does she know or does she not know? So they're kind of like playing this cat and mouse game with you to see how much you know, and they're hoping that you might slip up. And I feel like you are aware of that because you're very sharp. Your communication is very methodical. It's very calculated for this month. And I feel like you're going to be put in a position, a big, big position this month, where you might have to speak in front of people who might be, on top of their field. You might also be in an environment where I feel like you have to present a case. I'm seeing a lot of court issues, and you're very, very careful about what you reveal. So I feel like that's the case. There's something here. You have some information that you're privy to, and you're very, very careful about how much you reveal, and you're very careful about what information comes out of you. And at the same time, I feel like some of you might still be stuck on some type of a conflict in the past related to money, and you're trying to figure out where the source of the money is, or you're trying to figure out some dealings as it relates to past money. Okay, so you're still dwelling on some situation from the past, and you're trying to dig out some answers, unearth some answers. So this concludes this part of your reading. I'm going to go into the next part. So this rules your 7th house, which is relationship. So I'm going to leave that here as a segue into the next part of the reading, which is your love, romance, relationship reading. So let's see what's in store for the Scorpio people for the month of Okay, so we have here the Chariot in the upright position, and then we have here the Chariot in the reverse. So that's an interesting dynamics, because I feel almost as if the message that they are saying is that this is not a unilateral decision. They're saying this is a decision that involves another person. So don't go making assumptions and think that okay, this is what I should do because it's best for them. This is what I should do because it's best for me. I feel like you're making a unilateral decision that involves another person. And so they're telling you, stop doing that and, approach the other person and figure out how they feel. Initiate that conversation with them so that you understand where they're coming from, they understand where you're coming from, and then both parties can go from there. A lot of the times we jump into conclusions and we feel like, oh, it's not fair for the other person if I do this. So then I'm just going to break it off with them. So for example, if you're in a space where you feel like, okay, my life is not going the way that I want and I can't be a good relationship partner. So I need to fix my life first before I can, come back and be a good relationship partner to this person. That's great. But I feel like you need to have that discussion with that person. So I feel like a lot of you are trying to make a decision here, and you're trying to move things along, and you assume as if you know what's best for the other person, or they assume they know what's best for you without even consulting you. So I feel like, when a decision is made, when it concerns two or more people, it basically takes away the free will of one person to act, okay? So I feel like that's what's happening here with both of these cards coming out. Wow, you've got a good card. A good card. Scorpios, you've got a really good card here. So I feel like you're hiding some information, Scorpios. And give me a second. I'm going to pull out another card for this guy. Okay, so let me just talk about the foundation. Knowledge of or already with, okay? So it's like a person or a place or a thing. I guess it's a person or a thing that you already have in your environment, okay? And this is something that you believe to be true. So in the foundation, we have here the Two of Cups. And this is a very, very good card as the foundation, because it basically means that some of you are in a relationship that is built on reciprocity, is built on mutual respect, is built on friendship. So this is a card that where I mentioned, you not only love each other, you like each other as individuals, and you also really respect one another. And there's almost a sense of like reciprocity. It's like you have a big sense of obligation to one another, so you wouldn't do something to purposely hurt the other person, and vice versa, the other person would not do anything to hurt you, because you respect and care about each other's emotional needs. This is a really, really beautiful card. It's linked up here with the Six of Wands. And I feel almost like you know that you really care about this person, but there might be some difficulties in moving the relationship along because of work and because of financial issues, okay? So it could be that you both are not, one person might not have the proper, might not feel like they're in the proper place in their life career-wise, and then, or the other person might be geographically constrained because of their work. So there's an element of like feeling almost as if this is a really good relationship, but not knowing logistically how it's going to work out. And it's also linked up here with the Death card, which basically means a relationship that breaks off, come back together, breaks off, come back together. So it could be literally a long distance relationship. It could be like a tumultuous relationship. I don't feel it's tumultuous because with this as the foundation, it's like, mutual rapport. So I feel like it might be, it like starts and stops, and so you're not really sure the direction. And I also feel there are work factors, geographical factors at work as well, that is interfering in this really harmonious and beautiful relationship. Okay, so that's for some of you who are dealing with that. For others of you, let's talk about the past. In the past, we have here the Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune is a situation where you might have been dating many, many people. You might have also been feeling, on top of the world, mainly because you had a lot of suitors, you had a lot of options. This is kind of like the card where your luck is turning around. You're very prosperous. You have a lot of financial abundance. You also had a lot of opportunities to date and opportunities just in life overall. So you were feeling very, very good, okay? It's linked up here with the Four of Coins. And it's almost as if a lot of you were clinging on to a situation that was similar to that. So I feel with this spread, there's an element here of your professional achievements, your money, your finances affecting your love relationship. It's almost like you need to weigh your pros and cons here, and you need to really figure out. Like it. You need to figure out what love means. And I feel like, you're deciding between love and money. You're deciding between love and finances. So there are major issues at work here. I feel some of you are dealing with, okay? So I feel almost as if you might have been in a relationship, right, that made you feel really good. There was a lot of prosperity. I feel some of you might have been married. You might have had a very karmic relationship with somebody. And I feel like together as a unit, you generated a lot of money. And even though you're no longer happy for whatever reason, in the past, you really, hung on to that relationship. Like for some reason, you couldn't let it go. You couldn't let the memory of that person go. Or you physically couldn't get out of that relationship because it was so financially prosperous, and you were afraid that alone you might not make it, or alone the other person might not make it. So there's an element here of staying in a relationship that you felt was really good, or hanging on to the memory of something from the past that you thought was the right thing to do. Which brings us to the present situation. We have here the Chariot, where two people are not seeing eye to eye. They're not able to compromise, and they're not able to I I feel like there is just a total stalemate, and there's like total stop energy where people just stop communicating, people stop feeling the same way, and the relationship became very, very difficult. And for some of you, you might have been dealing with a person that is bringing this energy along. They're shown up here as the Page of Swords, an air sign, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So a lot of you, there might have been a lot of communication problem between you and another person, or the other person that you're dealing with here is an air sign, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. And I feel I feel biologically they might be younger than you as well. So there's an element here of not seeing eye to eye, not being able to compromise. You like them, but for whatever reason, communication is just you guys are not syncing up together on the communication front. Crowning this reading is something that you are thinking about. We have here the Two of Wands. This is kind of like closing that gap, wanting to compromise. But I feel it's almost like it seems like you want to compromise. You're very accommodating. And, being a water sign, you really want to make sure that the other person is nurtured and taken care of emotionally. So I feel like you're more than willing to compromise. However, I feel like in the process of compromising, you might realize that, hey, that's not fair. I'm doing all the work, or that's not fair. The other person's doing all the work. So one person feels as if they're putting in a lot in the relationship and the other person's not reciprocating. So there is almost like disharmony, and there's imbalances, as well as, that whole sense of like, what am I putting in versus what you're putting in? There's this discussion about fairness that's going to be heavily on your mind. So I feel like you want to have a discussion about what's fair, what's appropriate, what am I putting in versus what are you getting out. So these are discussions that you're thinking about. You don't know how to breach the topic so that you can discuss it with another person. For some of you, you might physically be dealing with this with an ex when it comes to custody and things like that. And then others, you might be involved with an air sign right now, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, and you want to have these discussions, but you might not have the means to do it, okay? You might not know when is appropriate. And we also have here the Hangman. So this is a situation that needs to be resolved. It needs to be brought up. And so once again, I'm inclined to say, okay, so this is the Chariot in the reverse, and this is the Chariot in the upright position. It's sort of like, this is not a unilateral decision. This is a democracy. So you need to have a discussion with the other party and see where they're coming from, try to understand what they want, and then express what you want, because this decision needs to involve the other party. Okay, so don't shy away from conflict. Don't leave text messages, and don't do it through email. This needs to be done face to face so that you can understand and address some issues, because I feel like you or the other person might be avoiding conflict. So I feel like you might, just casually mention it in a text, mention it in an email, but you never have that face-to-face discussion about, where are we headed? What direction is this relationship going? Are we still, do you still want to be together? Like, I feel some of you are just not taking, like you're not taking direct charge of a situation the right way. It seems like you're making the executive decisions, or the other person's making the executive decisions without consulting each other. And I feel like that's a major source of contention in this reading. So, Scorpios, have a discussion, reveal your motives, reveal your feelings, because I feel like people have trouble understanding you and reading you because you're so secretive. So you need to be a little bit more proactive about, talking about how you feel, revealing the inner you, letting people know your intentions, because it's really hard to read you. And so there's no need for this secrecy, especially if you're not hiding anything. So when you kind of like clam up, when you need time to process your feelings, I feel like other people think they did something wrong, and you start retreating, so other people think that like you're hiding something. So even, when you have the best intentions, other people misunderstand and they feel like you're evasive, they feel you're hiding something. So I feel like that's what's happening here. It is a misunderstanding, and so two people need to really sit down and have an important discussion. Okay, so that's what I'm sensing. In terms of your future position, we have here the Seven of Cups, okay? And especially, this is for those of you who are single. I do sense that, you're going to be narrowing down your options. And I feel as well, you're going to be quite evasive. We have here the Seven of Swords as well as the Eight of Coins. So I feel like you have several options on your plate for those of you who are single. And I feel that you're going to be narrowing down your options and keeping your options I want to say like keeping your options open between two people. And I'm sensing an air sign, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, and then an earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So I feel like you're leaving your options open between two people that might not know anything about each other. So that's for singles. For others of you, I feel almost like this is what I'm sensing. Even if you're single, I feel like you have an air sign in your midst, an Aquarius, a Gemini, and Libra, that you really like. I feel like you really like this person. And I feel almost like you both